This, I believe. I believe in the power of prayer. Growing up in a Christian home, prayer was a part of my life. I remember kneeling beside my parents as we prayed together, asking for God's guidance and protection. Those moments, even as a child, instilled in me the understanding that prayer is not just an act of petition, but a relational conversation with a loving God who hears and answers. Through the years, I've learned that prayer sustains us in times of joy and of sorrow. As a parent, I've prayed for the well-being of my children, trusting that God's grace and mercy would surround them as they grew. In my work and school life, prayer has been my anchor. It has given me peace in moments of uncertainty and strength when the weight of responsibilities felt heavy. In Psalm 34, verse 4, the psalmist says, I sought the Lord, and he answered me. He delivered me from all my fears. Prayer has been my way of seeking the Lord in all things, and I've seen him answer time and again. In my ministry, prayer has not only sustained me, but also transformed the lives of those I have served. Praying for others, lifting the concerns, joys, and struggles of my community has been an honor and a privilege. Through intercessory prayer, I've witnessed healing, breakthrough, and restoration. We live in a world where turmoil seems to surround us daily. Wars, injustice, division, and pain. But I believe that prayer can change things. It can transform situations, heal hearts, and unite communities. In these challenging times, we are called to pray, not only for our own lives, but for the world around us. As I leave the School of Theology and step into the next chapter of my calling, I carry with me the conviction that prayer will be my constant companion, my source of strength, and my way of connecting with a God who has sustained me all along. So, I encourage all of you to pray. Pray for the president, your communities, families, work, school life, and this broken world. Prayer changes things. This I believe.
This I believe. I believe in miracles, not the loud, spectacular, dramatic miracles we read about in ancient stories, but the subtle, quiet ones. Miracles nourished by humble prayer, sustained by unwavering hope, and carried forward by profound faith. Those miracles often do not present themselves with clarity, but I have come to trust that they do come to be true through the compassionate hands and the tender hearts of those around me. This I believe. I believe in the miracle of prayer, in every whispered word from those who love me dearly, people who have believed in me, even when I struggled to believe in myself. Their unwavering faith became a beacon, guiding me through times when I struggled to trust myself. With each prayer that crossed oceans and spanned time zones, I felt enveloped in a warmth that strengthened when I felt small and uncertain. In these moments, their prayers became a sanctuary, reminding me that I am never alone. This I believe. I believe in the miracle of dreams. 10,037 miles away from home to Boston, the distance that signifies more than just geography. It holds the stretch between longing and reality, between the tears I have left behind and the joy I have newly found. It carries the weight of what I hoped for and the surprise of what I have become. And somehow, this place, once a foreign place for me, has become a sacred place. It is a place I now dare to call home. This I believe. I believe in the miracle of relationships, those I have nurtured here that truly bring this journey to life. With each friendship formed, each shared meal enjoyed, each moment of learning and laughter, a profound transformation has taken place within me, a sense of belonging, and these relationships has become a thread of grace intricately weaving me into the fabric of a new life. This I believe. I believe in the miracle of the past, the very past that has shaped me into the person I am today. It is in the tapestry of the past that holds the memories I dearly cherish, the dreams I once dared to voice, and the beloved ones I have lost, whose voices still echo in my heart. It is a past rich in lessons and hope, a deep well from which I continue to draw. Without the past, I would not be here today. This I believe. I believe in the miracle of the now, the present moment, that I can see each of you clearly with honor and love. The now in which I can share not just my joy but also my sorrow, my laughter mingle with my tears. The now that reminds me I have a future, even though that future remains mysterious. The now that allows me to hold life tenderly, to embrace others, and to remember that I am truly alive. And this I believe. And yes, I believe in the miracle of the future, not because it is inevitable, but because I have seen how dreams unfold when nurtured with faith, hope, and love, and strengthened by beloved community. I carry this belief like a seed, nurtured by every hand that reaches out to me, every prayer offered on my behalf, and every encouraging voice that urges, keep going. And this I believe. Miracles are indeed real. They manifest through prayers and the bonds of faithful friendships, in the courage to traverse vast distances, in honoring the past while fully embracing the present, and in the audacity to nurture hope for what the future holds. This I believe.
This I believe. I believe that the School of Theology is doing some good things. It has been a place for abundance and generosity for me. I am a child whom the immigration system of the United States has failed. I arrived in the US on Christmas Eve 2001, and since then, I lived off of a visa after 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 visa. In between each visa lies a period of anxiety for me and my family. How can I keep my legal status? To do so, I need to enroll in a full-time job, full-time degree program, or get a full-time job in order to receive these visas. And if I do not find anything, I would become an undocumented who has overstayed his visa. And you will get to live a life in hiding and running, an inhumane life, which one of my family members has experienced for almost 2 decades. This question, how can I keep my legal status, is compounded by what most people ask themselves. What is my passion and how can I pursue it? In other words, what will be my vocation? And for me, these questions were always at odds with each other. Maybe I'll choose a vocation that will be expedient for my legal status, but maybe I'll choose a vocation that feels true to me. And I chose the latter and decided to pursue theological education with the goal of perhaps becoming a scholar of theology and religion someday. This journey to PhD has not been easy, but especially if you're under pressure of the immigration system, because the system asks you to be perfect. If you are remaining in the U.S., you cannot have any gaps in between visas. The problem is, at least in my experience, getting into a PhD program is not easy, and so much of the elements are also not in your control. So, applying for PhD in my situation is a risky decision, but it was what I wanted to do because scholarship is my passion. But around this time last year, I failed to get into any programs. So I scrambled to find another program to continue my status. This is where the School of Theology was has been a Christ-like institution for me. The application for the STM program was still open, and it offered a full tuition scholarship, which I never received before. Not only that, I was offered a place in Theology House, which for my family, who has been crushed economically, scholarship was like a miracle. It also provided space for me to explore my research questions fully and confidently because it did not presume Christianity to be at the center of everything. And when I geared up for another round of PhD application, I received no recommendation letters from the theology department of my previous institution, but Drs. Maya and Wariboko came in for the rescue. Thankfully, I will begin a PhD program this year at Fuller Theological Seminary. And it would not have happened without the School of Theology. My immigration story is not over. A new chapter of this administration has just begun. And I frankly, like many people, don't know where it's going to go. But institutions like the School of Theology can help resist unjust systems and help people keep going. This I believe.
This I believe, that God still speaks. Beyond the compartmentalization of humankind, reflecting ourselves onto the divine. Divine voice isn't just something above or outside of us, it's found in our hearing, our taste, and our touch. I've learned to hear God's voice cry in the streets. There is no justice, there is no peace, piecing together embodied liturgies, post-election chapel attendees, singing Stand By Me. Mourner's Kaddish said for siblings across the seas, she keeps singing. I don't know all the words yet, so for now I'll tap along to the rhythms of community survival songs. I hear her in the rhythms of my breath. Inhale 4, hold 7, and release once again. Yes, I believe God still speaks. Can you feel them? I'm not always attuned to the sound, so I've learned to remove my shoes, claim this as holy ground, now grounded in the low bass notes that subtly shake the floor, rocking back and forth, a holy uncertainty that vibrates to the core, grounding scores of two-touch patterns as my athletes take the pitch, transforming plans that we practice into creative embodiment. God still speaks. Can you smell it? Their presence in fallen branches overturned, wafting up the sense of the earth, my Coned campers building sacred spaces of their own, learning how to make sense of shalom with the fort we built out in the woods. It's in the sense of old books, the written word, gripping your emotions as each page turns. God still speaks. I see it in peace circle centerpieces, a conglomerate of sacred objects taking God beyond the obvious as colleagues create meaning out of what I may have mistaken for mundane. God still speaks. Can you taste it? No, really. What lingers on your tongue? What desires do you have and what desires left undone? When seeking nourishment, I find she's the elderly activist sitting by my side, pulling out a sandwich, waiting for the cops to arrive. This is my labor of love for you. Take and eat. As she passes bits of the sandwich down the line, bread and grape jelly become wafers and wine, ushering us into Holy Communion. Doesn't she taste divine? I didn't always believe it when I was limiting my search to the places deemed sacred by the church. I've learned to seek it in silence, the in-between, Holy Saturday, border-crossing queer embodiments among the profane, accepting the Imago Dei invitation to sacred co-creation, because God still speaks. This I believe. This I believe, that it is a gift to be dependent, not just on others, but on everything. I am dependent on the sun, clean water, and plants that miraculously give us nutrients and minerals to keep us alive. I know I have been dependent on many people in this room. Just last week, I was dependent on a friend to care for me when I got an intense migraine. She gave me medicine, an ice pack, and her bed to lay down in. In these moments of extreme dependency, I feel the need to apologize, to cover up my weakness and try to ease the burdens that I put on others. But it's actually in those moments of weakness that I have made the most meaningful connections. It is in the circumstances that push me to dependence that I feel the most loved, known, and connected. I know the idea of dependency is not attractive. When you are dependent, you are often vulnerable and lack control. I remember when I could no longer be claimed as a dependent on my parents' taxes and the sense of pride it gave me. I was financially independent, grown up, an adult. My American individualism told me that financially and physically separating from my family unit was something to be applauded. Now I was legally independent. The myth that independence equals success is dangerous. It leads to isolation and loneliness. I have found here at STH that admitting my dependence on people, the earth, and the divine is more honest. I can only recognize my humanity when I admit that I cannot do anything on my own. However, at a Research One institution that's academically rigorous, it is a difficult place to come to terms with my own dependence. I have been tempted often to pretend that I can do everything on my own, that I do not desperately need the shared meal at community lunch, or the time the professor took to ask how I'm really doing, or the solidarity felt at bugwoo meetings. I'm often most aware of my dependence when I'm in seasons of depression. My depression is sometimes brought on by circumstances, or other times seem to pop up out of nowhere. While I do not wish depression on anyone, I do wish that you all get to experience the type of love and care I have received from friends who I've trusted during some of my lowest moments. I can look back on those moments of emotional fragility that left me dependent on others and feel grateful for the deepened friendships that it led to. My fragility is not bad, it is simply human. And to see and to be seen in our full humanity is a gift. I also became more acutely aware of my dependence during my CP unit at McLean Mental Health Hospital. I encountered people every day who were in a state of complete dependency, so much so that they needed to be hospitalized. And I was affected. Their suffering was tangible, and I needed something to stabilize and hold me. And at this time, I felt dependent on the land, a specific piece of land right next to McLean called Lone Tree Hill. I walked through the forest into the meadow of wildflowers at least once a week that summer, sometimes before work, sometimes at the end of the day, and I watched the milkweed grow and the monarchs fly through the field. A few weeks later, the milkweed was gone, but the goldenrod had started to grow tall. I would often stand at the edge of the meadow and let the wind blow against my face like it was blowing away the trauma of the day. I have never taken anything physical from Lone Tree, but I was dependent on it just the same. I needed to walk through the woods and notice the wildflowers to be able to come back to myself. My relationship with Lone Tree was one I was dependent on that summer. It held me and stabilized me as I witnessed great suffering. I believe the real reason dependency is a gift is because it pushes us into relationship. Dependency forces me out of individualism and my desire to be seen as strong and capable, and invites me to embrace my full humanity. This, I believe. To be human is to be in relationship.
This is I believe. I believe in the sacred power of a pause. After being in Korea, where competition, speed, and tension often dictate life, I joined to Boston University School of Theology. Over the past 3 years, what I've learned here is not just theology, but the art of being humans more deeply, more vulnerably, more lovingly. In Korea, lives often felt like the constant race, but here I learned to slow down. I learned that stopping is not a sign of weakness or failure, but sometimes the most powerful decision one can make. Not because I am broken or have given up, but because in that pause, I trust that God is already at work. I've come to see that stopping can be stronger than doing, but when it is an active choice, a courageous surrender to the hands of God who is never unfamiliar with my unfamiliarity. I believe in community, not one built on competition or transactions, but on friendship and love, where we encourage instead of the church, where understanding replaces the impulse to teach or collect. This is kind of community I have tasted at BUSTH. Also, I believe that remembering is a form of hope. To remember is to discover gratitude even in the broken fragments of the life. It is a feeling that what has hurt us does not define us, but that God meets us in our pain, not only to heal, but to work with us. Even when I feel like I can't go on, even when I need to stop for a while, I believe that God is present there too. I believe that kindness is not a stereotype, it's a calling. Just being kind to someone who is hurting doesn't mean we can fix their life. But still, kindness matters, love matters, presence matters. This, I believe, that grace meets us not at the finish line, but in the pause, the place where we choose again and again to trust in the one who works with us. This, I believe.